Hello and welcome to Higher Ed Live, the live weekly web show all about the world of higher education. I am your host, Seth Odell, coming at you from Southern New Hampshire University here in Manchester, New Hampshire. Thank you guys for tuning in. Right off the bat, I gotta say, I need a little bit of help. My computer's running slow and Twitter's not working well for me. So if you are able to tune in and watch this live, get those tweets out. Let everybody know, because I'm not going to be able to tweet much during the show, if at all. So I need your help to spread the word, spread the conversation. Thank you guys for joining us for Higher Ed Live. Right off the bat, let's thank our sponsors so we can dive into today's topic. We are sponsored by Integral, the creator of the Schools app on Facebook, a private Facebook community to boost enrollment and retention. Higher Ed Live, well, we appreciate them. They are the best. It is an awesome, awesome company. And more importantly, guys, check out the latest white paper they put out. We just sent a tweet out with it. Social media measurement in colleges and universities. And you want to check it out. Also, check out Are You Measuring What Matters in Social Media? We sent that tweet out as well. We're also sponsored by OmniUpdate, the leading web content management system CMS provider for higher education. The company's web CMS OU campus, it's secure, it's scalable, with great tools and features and deployment flexibility and an awesome user community. So check out what your higher peers think about OmniUpdate. We sent a link out with testimonials. You may want to hear what they have to say. We are also sponsored by Scavenger, a Google-funded mobile game about going places, doing challenges, and earning points. Check out how Scavenger is engaging 4 Boston area schools through a competition that coincides with the famous Beanpot Hockey Tournament. It's pretty cool. You guys want to see what they're doing? As always, check the links out to do that. So thanks to our sponsors. Thanks to you guys for tuning in. One more time again, guys, I have a little bit of tech issues going on my side. I'm praying that you're able to see me. It looks like through the tweets that you are. We are talking all about life cycle marketing and management in higher education today. That is a huge topic, and we have 2 guests for you. But before we dive in, we have a little something that this week is called The Weekly 3. 3 stories from around the world of higher education worth reading, noting, starring, and promising yourself you will get back to and check out. We weed out only the best for you to save you time. This is an old one, but important to talk about because it's been something that came up last week. Guys, you probably saw the story already, but Claremont McKenna College it turns out that they were sort of trying to game the U.S. ranking systems, the U.S. News and World Report ranking systems. They had someone resign from it, and they were exaggerating SAT scores, not by a lot, but still really unethical and really unfortunate. This is something we've talked about a lot on Higher Ed Live. At the end of the day, guys, these rankings, the question is, are they providing value to students or not? It sure doesn't seem like most students care too much, but the rest of us do, and it's really sad when we see such negative things happening because of it. So, I'm just really disheartened by this. I would not be surprised if they're not the only ones that this happens to. This keeps coming out. You know, we need to stop chasing rankings and start trying to change lives and keep focused. So it's important, guys. Speak up. You know, I really, really hope that whatever's driving you in your office and what you're trying to do isn't just ranking numbers, but it's something bigger and more important than that. Continuing the conversation on numbers, did you guys see this study that came out this week? The mobile browsing behaviors and expectations of college-bound high school students. It was sponsored by Noel Levitz, as well as College Week Live, OmniUpdate, and some other folks were involved. Read this study, guys. 52% of prospective high school students that are college-bound to college looked at your mobile website. So that's a big number. 52% of high school college-bound students say they looked at a school's mobile website. That's a huge number. Think about that, guys. 52%. Mobile is changing. It's changing a lot faster than we think. Because when prospective students are looking at mobile sites, and one of the top 6 things they say they're asking for is online applications as well as cost calculators and program information, guess what that means? That means mobile is big money. And mobile isn't just about the folks on your campus. Guys, I'm telling you, this is the tip of the iceberg. I'm going to be writing a post about this, hopefully getting it out by next week, guys. These numbers are bigger than you think, and there's some huge, huge implications. And finally, for the Weekly 3, it's the one I promised you guys would do. In fact, I'm going to tease that for a second. Guys, Weekly 3, you know, once in a while I do a little bit of a rant on the show. Why is it only 3 this week? Well, it's because there should be 5. I'm doing 3. Why? Because I need extra time to talk about what I want to talk about today. So what's the hot button issue everybody's talking about in higher ed, right? It's Pinterest. What are we doing with Pinterest? We got to get involved with Pinterest. But here's the thing. I want people to back up for a second, spend a lot of conversation, and think about why are we so excited for Pinterest? Because here's the interesting thing. People are saying Pinterest, you know, was the first website to 10 million users. Not true. Despite all the media publishing that, that is absolutely not true. You know what was the first website to 10 million users? That'd be FormSpring. FormSpring in less than 2 months. That's right. So let me ask you guys a question for all you people that are excited about Pinterest. You're excited about Pinterest. Why? Because of the reach? FormSpring has the reach. The implications for higher ed? FormSpring already has the case studies to back up its impact on prospective and current students. So I ask you this. Why are we focusing so much on a new, unproven platform when a platform like FormSpring with a huge user base exactly in our target market has successful case studies and still isn't implemented on your website? If you are excited about Pinterest and you're not using FormSpring, it's because you're chasing a trend. I, mind you, think Pinterest is awesome and it's really cool, but I can't get over the fact that we've been talking about things like FormSpring for a year and a half now, about how it's been impacting higher education, and yet most institutions don't utilize it. Why? Because the buzz has already passed. So think about this, guys. If you're excited about Pinterest, why aren't you excited about FormSpring? Honestly answer that. Think about it, okay? And again, I'm not trying to knock Pinterest. I think there's a lot of value in higher ed, but I'm saying again, why are we focused on a site? Because it has huge reach. FormSpring has a bigger reach, but it hits our target market. FormSpring does that better. And FormSpring has a proven track record, yet the vast majority of higher education is not bothered to utilize it. Let's think about this, guys. As always, goals before tools, but just think about this. Put it in perspective. So that's weekly 3. Moving on, guys, we have the unsolicited shout out of the week, where I shout out any person, place, thing, or idea. Why? Because I can. It's my show. Get your show if you want to do one, or just throw a tweet out and you can do the same thing. So the unsolicited shout out of the week is going out to Beta Livestream. So livestream.com, the live streaming site. It's really obviously one of the two powerhouses. We use Ustream, but that's okay. They have a new beta out that is amazing. I talk a lot about real-time event coverage. The new beta Livestream is crazy. It incorporates real-time photography, real-time tweets, all into one interactive experience that you can embed on your website. It's all the stuff that I've been hacking together for the past year and a half, all done right. So if you're into live streaming at all like I am, keep an eye on Beta Livestream. We got access to that with Higher Ed Live. We're going to hopefully test it out with a show or two, and let's see what we can do with that. So that's unsolicited shout out. Thank you guys for sticking with me through that brief interruption. And again, bear with me. I'm getting hit with a lot of Pinterest love on Twitter. I love you guys. I like Pinterest too. I'm just trying to make a point. That's what I do. Don't hate. Anyways, guys, let's move on to the topic today. We are talking about lifecycle marketing and management in higher education. And to do that, we have brought on 2 guests. Allow me to welcome them to the show and pull the first one up and just say, first off, hats off and welcome to Rob Zinkan, Vice Chancellor for External Affairs at Indiana University East. Rob, welcome to the show.
I appreciate it very much, Seth. Glad to be here, and thanks for all the great content that you put out and making the higher ed community better and helping us, all of us, do our jobs better. Doing great stuff, so really a pleasure and delight to be with you this afternoon.
I really appreciate the kind words. I'm happy to have you. And we are not alone, though, either, actually. Let's pull up our other guest and just say Fran Zablocki, who was former SUNY Geneseo, but he's now, well, he's now back in action, moving over to mStoner. So, Fran, welcome to the program.
Thanks, Seth. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, I'll just second that plug for you. I really appreciate all you do with Higher Ed Live. A lot of great information every week, and I'm really excited to be here on the show today.
Talk about it, guys. So, I mean, where do we get into talking about lifecycle marketing management? Lifecycle is a term, obviously, that has really kind of spun off largely in the consumer world, talking about the life cycle of a customer, and that's not exactly what we're talking about in higher ed, but there's a lot of crossover. So, you know, Rob, let me ask you some questions. Let me try to pull you up first. Just for people to know, your camera's a little frozen, but we can still hear you loud and clear. So, Rob, tell me, what is life cycle, you know, marketing and management to you? What does that mean?
Sure. So I see that I'm not smiling, but I'm actually smiling right now. So you can feel the love.
Well, you know, that was, first off, an awesome answer, and unfortunately, it looks like nobody heard it because we're having audio cutting in and out. So here's what we're going to do, Rob and Fran. I hope you guys don't mind. Viewers, stay with us for 2 seconds. We're going to shut down the stream for 2 seconds and reboot our connection here and connect back with you guys. So stand by. This is what happens when you have a live show. I'm sorry, Lane. I know you can't make it a lot. We're going to be back in 2 minutes. Stand by. I need your help with Twitter, guys. Stay calm. Make it happen. I'll be right back with you. Back. I don't know how. I can't use Twitter. My machine is overheating. It's pretty much like the Death Star, and we're almost there, but we're gonna hold on. We're going down with this ship. We're gonna make it happen. So if you're out there, please tweet and send out the link to remind everybody to get back in here and watch the show. Because I can't use Twitter. I mean, this is like 2006 in here. I don't know how I'm gonna make it, but I am. We're going to, and we have our guests back. So first off, Rob, once again, welcome for a second time back to the show.
And second time, great to be here. That was a wild ride, but I'm glad we're back at it.
Just to make it happen again, can you once again just tell us what are your thoughts on what what life cycle marketing, life cycle management, whatever you want to call it even is, and how do you even begin to apply something like that to higher ed? Just the general overview to put a framework on this conversation today.
Sure. And man, you said my first answer was awesome, so I don't know if I can replicate that. But basically, I think of the work that we do at the university as we advance the mission of the campus. And the way we do that is enhancing the reputation, relationships, and ultimately the resources of the campus. But we don't do that with just one audience. We do it with all sorts of different audiences. And we know very well that those audiences look at the university as one thing. They look at it holistically. And for whatever reason, it's so easy when we do the higher ed thing day in and day out to be institution-centric in the way we communicate and in looking at those relationships instead of looking at it from an audience-centric point of view. And again, they look at the university holistically, whether it's the admissions office, whether it's student advisors, alumni office, athletics, you name it. We are all the university. We are all the face of the university. We're not a certain office. Internally we are, but externally we're all the university. And for whatever reason, that becomes a hard hump to get over. So we organize ourselves in functional units, and we have that divide from an audience or multitude of audiences who look at us as one institution, and we're all one institution. So essentially, we look at life cycle marketing as maximizing integration and collaboration across all phases and also all transition points of anyone's relationship with the university.
You brought up a really good point that the way that students look at themselves and that it's one person and it's not multiple attitudes. I want to bring Fran on for a second. Fran, you wrote a post that really kind of hit really well in your experience being an alumni. Talk to me a little bit about the post that you wrote recently, just because I think what you were talking about, which just really resonated, was the fact that it's almost as if it's a new person each stage of the higher ed relationship. Especially, I mean, I'm sure with you and alumni, it's almost like you get a whole new batch of people, but they're not new people. They've been with the institution for years. So can you just shed a little bit of light on kind of what you were talking about in that post?
Yeah, sure, Seth. Yeah, so it feels sometimes like, and I think I said like we were divorcing our graduates was the word that I used. But especially we focus a lot of resources on getting people in the door through prospecting and through the admissions office, and we are really excited about people saying this is going to be a great place for you to go. It's going to be a great fit. You're going to love it. Then they get there, they love it, they have a great experience. Student affairs is doing all kinds of cool stuff. They've got a great relationship and a great identity of their own. And then a lot of times what happens is they graduate, and because of that lack of communication or data going over that transition point, you end up kind of feeling like you're reintroducing yourself all over again. It's like, hey, I've been here for 4 years, you know me, right? Like what happened? Like we used to be friends. What happened? So it's like when you don't have that kind of collaboration, that's the type of thing that can happen, and it can really negatively affect the relationship at a point where it's most critical, where you basically you're an alumnus a lot longer than you are at the college. So a lot of times if you're not careful about it and you're not thoughtful about it, that negative impression of kind of not being known anymore can last a long time and kind of almost build up over time to become kind of a real entrenched feeling that can be tough to reverse.
I'm really glad you mentioned that. That's why I wanted to have you on the show too, is because it can be really polarizing, the jump from student to alumni. I think that's sort of the point, in my opinion, where it really highlights the problem we're facing more than anything, which is that you become an alumni and you start getting this information. Tell us about your interests. What do you want to do? Then you get lumped in this pool. Usually it's where you just get dumped the same magazines as everybody else. And like, wait a second, I've spent all this time, all this money. I love this institution, and it really is almost like you're divorcing them. It's like it's this little pushback, and you get this feeling a little bit like your program abandoned you. It's just very odd. I mean, why is it that one person has to feel like so many different things along the way? Rob, I want to toss to you first because, I mean, with your experience and your position, I mean, is this, I assume, obviously isn't a problem that was anyone ever set out to create. Was this just created by sort of the environment that exists in higher ed administrative architecture, essentially?
Yeah, I think so. For whatever reason, we deal with silos in higher education, and it's become the norm, and it creates these issues for the people that we're trying to engage and build relationships with. And so we look at them within our narrow window versus looking at it from the entire university's perspective. I mean, you could just break it down even to a development effort and your fundraising efforts, and how quickly we might sacrifice a longer lifetime major gift to get something that hits the books this fiscal year, because we need to get X amount of numbers within our annual fund this fiscal year, instead of thinking of the relationship as it's not about this year, it's about the entire, someone's entire life. So let's think of it from that standpoint, and how can we maximize that relationship?
First off, I mean, I am hearing you loud and clear, and I agree. But how do you actually make this happen? I mean, without dismantling the silos, I mean, let's be honest, we're going to have departments, we're going to have responsibilities and beats. And I mean, how in your experience, have you guys started approaching this on a sort of a tangible level to actually achieve this without kind of rethinking entirely how the organization is structured?
That's a great question, Seth. And we try to organize ourselves as an integrated advancement model, and we're strong proponents of that integrated advancement model, and it's based on this life cycle marketing and this lifetime engagement, lifetime relationship. And I think a lot of people are quick to assume, okay, integrated advancement means that alumni and development talk with communications and marketing and web. Well, that's one piece of it, but I think that eliminates a key part of the life cycle, and that's students. I think from communications and marketing, the missing component is students. I mean, we're great at brand marketing, we can be great at direct marketing, but that experience marketing, where we don't have direct access to students and some of the touch points that students have with the university, which may be more with faculty and in the classroom, we need to get in that mix. And so the way that we've done it at our university is student life, campus life is part of university advancement. And so when we look at that, we're integrated seamlessly throughout that whole process. So for example, our campus life director, before a freshman even steps on campus, she knows exactly who she's going to target to get involved in certain activities and organizations based on their activity and comments on the class of 2015 Facebook page. And so just being at the table together, you got to get people around the table together, and forget about your individual goals, forget about your office's goal, and look at the university's goal. What are we trying to do? And let's find common ground. We're all in this together. And so, force those discussions, get people around the same table talking about issues that overlap into our areas.
One key thing I want to highlight on is the overlap of information. And this goes out to either one of you that want to jump in first, but this is a big technical question, which is when you start talking about life cycle in higher education, you start talking about one person kind of coming in very early, maybe at a young age, maybe not, to say young age, but not anymore. There's a lot of adult learners, but coming at a certain stage of their life, and for years progressing through. How do you actually transfer that information? I mean, is this something where we're talking about CRMs? I mean, which is relationship management tools? I mean, how much of this can be tech? I mean, literally, how do you transfer the information from someone who's a student so that way when they're an alumni, we know what they're interested in? Because again, it's what Fran talked about, you're not divorcing your alumni. Like, how do you know when someone graduates what they're interested in? Maybe what clubs they were a part of or anything else? I mean, Rob, I'll touch this to you first, and then I'm curious about how Fran approached this with alumni. But how do you literally manage information, sort of persona information, so you do know who someone is beyond they enrolled this year and they got a degree this year?
Well, honestly, we don't do it well right now, and we don't have a system or mechanism to do that. We're one of 8 campuses within our university, and we're beginning that move to a lifetime CRM, which we can't wait. I mean, we want to see it happen tomorrow, and it's not going to happen, unfortunately, for however many months, potentially a year or beyond that. So simply having our units align the way it is, that we talk to each other, we're in the same meetings, we can do that just with the way that we're structured and talking with one another. From a data standpoint, we don't do it well now, and we need to come up with a better system for doing that. So you've identified a part of the issue.
You guys are not alone. I mean, the problem with that is across the board. I mean, there are CRMs, there are things like IntelliWorks and other CRM systems for higher ed, but the vast majority, at least from my experience, have either been about enrollment or they've been about development. So they're not exactly really built as lifecycle CRMs necessarily. They're primarily built, again, just only from my limited experience of what I've seen, it's about a prospective coming in and do they actually enroll, or an alumni tracking your conversations, and it's a development tool. I mean, you have companies like, I will say, Sponsor, Integral, and you also have Red Rover. Red Rover focuses on sort of one stage and Integral another, and I've talked with both Kevin Prentice and Michael Staten respectively from both companies, and they both say they understand the value of lifecycle marketing and lifecycle needing a sort of a CRM, a lifecycle tool, but the problem is there's not a real market for it yet. And that's, by the way, Rob, why I'm so excited to have you on the show, because I want to get this conversation moving so people know that there is a market, that we do want this stuff. Because again, if we don't have these real large tools, we're kind of stuck with something a lot smaller, which is scary. I mean, Fran, for instance, can you just, I mean, when you were working in Alumni, I assume, I mean, you had to be primarily just focusing on either the alumni's interests, list management, or maybe obviously teaming with development to track how often someone was communicated with. But again, it was something that was exclusively within the window of them being an alumni. Is that correct?
Someone's profile in the main database where they become an alum, and all of a sudden all that data becomes available to us. I think it was like second semester juniors or something like that. And I don't know, whether that was picked arbitrarily or what, but like it makes sense for us to have access to the information the day that they enroll, or even if they're a prospect. And so I think, Rob's saying like they're not as far along as they'd like. I think they're a lot farther along than most places are, because I'm doing a lot of basic stuff, like asking who were part of these different clubs and organizations over the last decade. Who are the leaders of these clubs and organizations? I mean, just literally going out and figuring out who has that data, if the data exists. If it doesn't exist, well, we're not going to be able to recover it, but at least let's identify that that's something that's going to be important to the advancement division, and that we're going to need it, and talk to the people who own it and curate it and say, hey, look, it's not okay to just have, a student leadership list on an Excel file on someone's computer somewhere and never have it go any farther. Or, even worse, just like being deleted after it's done. Like, this isn't the end of the relationship. And it's that, I mean, really it comes down to what I focused on was just trying to get the affinity, because usually there's one thing that hooks somebody in, one or two things that hook somebody in to the campus, whether it was a club, organization, or athletics, or a particular professor or program that they were part of. And so when it comes to making that one-to-one connection, which is what I had to do a lot with community management, you want to know what the hook is going to be. You want to know what someone's interest is. And if you are flying blind because you don't have that data, then you're at a disadvantage. So, that was kind of my main purpose, was to go out, just try to figure out what was out there at that point. And with the intent to eventually get to where Rob is, where, at least people are sitting in the same meetings and talking about this type of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that's just a really good point you bring up, and that's why I think where Rob is so interesting. And Rob, there's a great tweet coming in from Joel Goodman saying, if we were smart, we'd anticipate the market that will develop. Rob, not to project too far, but given where you guys are, we're talking, where do you see this moving? Do you see, potentially more CRM companies or companies like Integral or Red Rover, like expanding? Do you see there being a demand for this approach? I have to think we're moving this direction, but again, this is the long game, and it may take a while before other institutions realize the kind of the money that's going out the door, essentially, if they're not really focusing on their community as a whole, and rather than segmenting them by arbitrary stages within their relationship.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I think there's no question it's going to go in that direction. And there are a lot of reasons why. We can step back and look at the big picture and just know that all of our institutions are under a unique set of pressures, certainly financial pressures. My state appropriation at our campus is going in one direction, and it's not the one that I'd like. We're all in those situations, and it's such an unprecedented time right now for higher education, and so we have no choice but to become more efficient, to collaborate, to work together. And it sounds great to say those things, but you've got to make it happen. No, but you're right. We need the tools to make it happen too, and that's something that we don't have, and as a result, we can't maximize yet the things that we want to do.
Now, we're talking, Rob, a lot about this big picture, because again, I'm very interested in that. I'm interested in the broad, industry-wide, big tools being applied. But what I don't want to happen in this conversation is people think that, okay, then this means I should just sit back and wait 5 or 10 years for this whole trend to play out and become a reality. So can you just share with me, I know you've been talking a little bit already, but what are some tangible, like low-level examples of what this looks like on the ground? Even if it's just, 2 people in a meeting on campus, what could this look like? Because again, I just want to frame this so people watching understand that when you talk about life cycle, it's something that can be applied today. It takes 2 people in an institution coming together. It can be small. We don't need to wait for this big companies, big tech to come and catch up to where our needs already are.
Right, absolutely. And I would put the onus on advancement to start there. Advancement, to think of life cycle at its most basic level, and it seems so simple, but a student not recruited a student not retained, once enrolled, a student not retained, obviously doesn't become an alum, obviously doesn't become a donor. And that decision to become a donor or to not become a donor happens or begins to happen before a student even steps on campus for the first time. So knowing that, why wouldn't advancement be in on the front end? Why wait to be involved in the process until someone graduates and leaves the campus? They ought to be working with the admissions office. They ought to be working with the campus life office and know what's going on and have those connections, because those are the things customer service. Marketing used to be a dirty word in higher ed. Customer service, for whatever reason, seems to be, but we need to talk about customer service, and advancement needs to be part of that discussion. Otherwise, that part of the life cycle is obviously directly impacted. So advancement, go talk to admissions. Go talk to campus life. It seems so simple, but yet it doesn't happen. And I think, as you said, to break it down to its most basic level, those are the discussions that need to start happening. And I think people would be amazed at the things that are happening within their, from a development perspective, things that are happening within their admissions office, and they have no idea, and they see, wow, here's a great way to tie in, to get connected to this, and we can both benefit.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I love that you're talking about how it just starts with someone kind of finding out what someone else is working on. Because to me, the thing is, why is this not happening in higher education? And it's the saddest thing. It's nothing to do with higher education at the end of the day. I mean, again, Joel brings a good point that it's because we failed to anticipate. And on a large level, that's true. And I think that's why we don't have a large mid-level with a lot of leaders. We don't have a lot of people, like Rob talking about his institution that's really got to focus on this. They're really a leader because a lot of other institutions haven't kind of whole cloth gotten this strategy and picture. But beyond that, I got to say this. Life cycle is no one's job, but life cycle is everyone's job. And that's the other reason why it hasn't happened yet, because people are taking the job descriptions literally because no one's asked us to do this yet. But the reality is, I mean, this is a total made-up term, but I call it DIY life cycle. That, like, you can do this yourself right now. When I came into SNHU, I just started here in September, both Carlin and I literally, within like the first 2 weeks, started meetings with our Director for Student Success. And we meet every Wednesday morning for coffee with our Director of Student Success just for 20 minutes to catch up on what he's working on, understand what's going on with students. And we don't do that because we were asked to. We do that because it's the right thing to do. And by the way, after doing that for a couple months, a couple of huge exciting projects have come out about that. And what those projects are, they're student-focused projects that provide a better experience and better marketing collateral as a result. And what happened from that was just by walking upstairs and saying, hey, what do you do? Literally, and me saying, I don't understand. Tell me more. I'm curious. Just be curious and ask questions. I do think on a level it can start that small. I mean, again, going back to you, Fran, I mean, this is one thing. I worked closely with the alumni at UCLA, but I mean, it's literally just walking across the hall. I know for alumni, all the time they used to come to us. I worked in media saying, what do you got? We have this newsletter going on. And they'd have no idea what we were working on. And we were 8 feet away. And it's the same students, because the student I'm covering in a news article today is going to be an alumni in 2 years. So, I mean, I think, again, Fran, with an alumni office, correct me if I'm wrong, that, I mean, this is the kind of stuff that a lot of people, if you're involved in alumni magazine or things, you have to do this sort of outreach to at least kind of keep your finger on the pulse. But it's something I think we all should be doing.
Absolutely. No, I mean, stories come from everywhere. Points of pride are in every single office, whether it's someone doing great work, who works for the college, or whether it's a student who's doing a great project. A lot of collaboration opportunities came through working with the student newspaper. I mean, some really, really great student writers, some really, really good work being done by student social media people. So, not being me going out and like talking to them and just saying, look, like, you're out there, you're generating stories for your audience, and for us to be doing the exact same thing. Let's tap into that, meet up with that, meet up at Starbucks, meet up for coffee, and just talk about it a little bit. Even within our advancement, it was just a matter of, let's have the alumni folks talking to the marketing and communications folks on a regularly scheduled meeting. I mean, some of it can be informal, but I think at some point you need to take it and make it, boil it into part of what you do. So, like, every other week we're going to meet with, this department and this department, or, like, you guys are doing your annual strategic planning session, like, have a representative from a couple other areas just sitting in and auditing it. Not something like, they don't even need to be part of the, the agenda necessarily. They can ad-lib it and add into it, but, just having somebody aware, they can take it back to their area and just kind of spread the word and say, hey, there's some really cool stuff going on over here. We should be part of this. Or, you know what, I think that they're struggling with something and we can help them. We have the resources available. I mean, you know, like Rob said, we're all part of the same institution. We're all part of the same team. And I think we tend to really have a narrow scope and focus on, sometimes it's just like, here's what I'm doing. Like you said, like, here's just my job description. Or here's like the 3 or 4 people in my department that I work most closely with that day-to-day basis, and I'm only aware of what they do. I mean, it's every individual's effort to broaden their awareness of what's going on around them, and it just starts with, like you said, asking those questions and meeting with people and talking about it. And it's the more become aware that you are interested, the more they will push others to you as well, because they know you're like a connector and they're curious. And so it tends to, it'll snowball. You'll become a person on campus who actually is known for being a collaborator, and then opportunities will just start showing up.
I was just about to go there. It's such a good point that you just made. I think we're still here. The point that you made, though, is so good that opportunities open up. I'm going to be completely transparent right now because I love to do this whenever possible. I got to do this at UCLA because I was in the media relations office and I shot a lot of videos. So I'd go around campus and I met people. And what happened is, not only did I get cool stories, did I connect people to each other, but I became known as someone who knew a lot of people on campus in a short amount of time. And that got so valuable that I got stolen away to another part of campus and got a promotion. I mean, you can get personal benefits out of it too, so that's a good point. That's a positive. But there's also a lot of negatives, and I mean, there's some clear negatives in doing Lifecycle wrong. So Rob, I want to pass back to you a little bit and say, what does success in this whole arena look like to you? I mean, what's to win in doing this? Because unfortunately, in these budget times, a lot of people would want to be sold on why they should do the right thing rather than just doing it because it's the right thing in the first place. Rob, you can hold on. Wait, okay, Rob, can you talk for a second? We just lost audio, but I want to see if we can hear you again.
You get me back? Still here.
Unfortunately not. Hold on one second. I can hear you, but it looks like the audience at home can't. Can you let's see. Hold on, let me pull Fran up for 1 second. Fran, can you just say hello for a second?
Hey, Seth, can you hear me all right?
I can. I've lost your audio now, too. Okay. Stand by, everybody. It's a live show. This is what happens. Well, not usually. But bear with me, guys, for 1 second. I'm going to keep you guys on the line. I'm going to attempt to try and fix this on the fly because that's what we do with the live show. So let's see if we can make this happen, and let's do this. So stand by, guys. I'm pulling up a quick screenshot. Don't go anywhere. Show's not over. Okay, guys, more importantly than anything, I appreciate your patience and your sense of humor in the back channel. We're enjoying it. I can hear our guests, but it's clear that you guys can't. I'm going to try one more time. So, Fran, give a nice loud yell, as loud as you can.
Hello? Anybody can hear me?
No, they can't. Oh, man, that's really unfortunate. Okay, guys, I'm really sorry. We have just somehow completely lost audio with our guests. And that, unfortunately, to me means I don't know where to move with the show anymore. This is the third time we've run into it in the show. I fixed it once mid-show. We had to shut it down at the beginning, as you know. So, unfortunately, I'm going to bring it on for one last shout. Since you can't hear Fran, it's going to be funny because I can hear him. So, Fran, just yell really loud.
I'm in an echo chamber, but no one can hear me.
Okay, so, guys, I'm glad I could hear that, but it was funny. I'm really sorry. I'm going to pull him up on screen because I can hear him. And to say, I know, Rob, you don't need to say anything because nobody's going to be able to hear you but me. But thank you so much for coming on the show today. I really appreciate it. All right, so Fran and Rob, thanks to both of you guys. And yeah, this is, as I was saying on Twitter, that awkward moment when the live show totally falls apart and we have nowhere to go but home. How sad is that? I think it's a conspiracy, but bottom line, guys, I want you to know I really appreciate you guys tuning in today to be part of the show to talk lifecycle marketing management. I'm going to do my best to get these guys to come back and do this whole thing again with better tech support, and hopefully they'll be more than willing to do that. I hope you guys can tune in again. And till next time, I guess, bear with me. It's a live show. I'll try to get this rescheduled maybe as early as, even next week, the week after, sometime, whenever it works with these guys. But Man, this is Higher Ed Live for a reason. So that way, every once in a while, if you guys are tired of hearing great, exciting information about higher education, innovation conversations, talking about where we're going to be, well, if you're tired of that, you can just watch me totally awkwardly staring into a laptop. As my guests can hear me, you cannot hear them, and I am all alone in a world of tech troubles. Signing off from the Death Star. Thanks for bearing with me, guys. I will be back. I shall return. But for today, I am defeated.